Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Rhea.
Welcome to Karma's My Bitch, a podcast about
sex,
love,
magic,
desire,
purpose,
bliss,
and how life isn't simply the stories we tell ourselves.
The first 4 episodes of this season are about the conditions that are conducive to bliss.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the first one? Going through your karma, coming out the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Coming out of your karma, you're happy.
Wanting more.
You're in your power and then wanting more.
Fine.
Like what's that transition from happy to bliss?
Fine.
Like what gets us, yeah. What's the catalyst?
And so this one is about what? Living with other people without other people's bullshit.
Yeah.
Cool. So do you do that by boundaries? Because they're, we hear them all the time. Like, I mean, I have my own thoughts on boundaries, but before we go into it, is that how you do it? Through boundaries? Like, I've got to respect myself, protect my peace, say no, all that kind of stuff?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because we know boundaries and the whole concept of boundaries is really just more separation. And any concept that's born in separation is just kind of like, or any solution to separation and is born out of separation is just generally pushing separation elements, which then just keep us out of oneness. So it just kind of keeps us in some kind of cycle.
Yeah. And I know that sounds really crazy to say boundaries perpetuate separation, but I actually agree. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about it, if you're naturally listening to yourself and you're naturally honoring yourself, those boundaries are quite natural because it's either I do or I don't. And it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Boundaries sort of invoke this idea of bumpers. If we have bumpers, as in if things kind of go a little bit sideways, something's going to push back because I have this wall up, I have this boundary people can't cross.
Yes.
But when we're living in our fullest fate, when we are in flow, boundaries get in the way.
Interesting. Go on.
Well, they just keep us from being able to navigate freely. And we need full freedom. We need full freedom out of our karma. We need full freedom to practice magic.
Yeah.
And we need complete agency, as we said in the previous episode, to be able to live in bliss.
It makes sense because if you think about it, today I might be feeling in a way where I actually don't want to go to your house. But tomorrow, going to your house could be the perfect thing. But if I've decided my boundary is I will never go to your house, then I'm not free because I'm basically creating my own rules.
Yes, exactly. In lieu of boundaries, effectively what we need is space. And it's not like, I have to make this choice. Like, today's the day I'm going to give myself space. Again, giving ourselves space just might be the natural order and the natural flow in which we find ourselves at a place in our lives where space is really what is required. This next phase, however long I'm in it, from 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, I need a bit of space, time to myself. So the concept of space is that space is internal facing. To have space when we are in the early stages of bliss, or really at any point, when we have space, we're internal facing, we're going in internally. Boundaries are external facing. It's the I won't be able to handle things outside of me. So I need to have certain things in place to make sure that they don't invade my space or whatever I want to call it, my peace.
It actually makes total sense. I don't know why. It does, but it does. Again, right now, a lot of people are going through a lot of things, and naturally you want to be able to help them. You want to be around them. And also you just want to be around people. Like, you love them. So you want to spend time with them. But actually what I found is that every now and again, I'd be like, we're spending so much time together. I actually need to just ground in myself for a bit. So I just want to go and just be alone for a bit, or do something that I like doing. Because maybe some of the old rituals that I used to do no longer ground me the same way. Maybe some of the old habits that I have no longer work the same way. Mm-hmm. But actually maybe just a good night's sleep or a couple of days where we're not in the same country works a fucking treat. So Absolutely. Even you and I have done that in times. Mm-hmm. It's not about, you need to not come over past X amount of time, or this needs to happen this way, or you must change your behavior this way. So it's actually like, I'm just going to go take some time. And I have a friend who's very good at this and always has been. Mm-hmm. And I've always wondered why she's always been able to be so generous with her time when she shares it. And now I understand why. Yeah. Because she's always been very good at that. And it's something I'm learning to do because I'm a very social beast. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you'll say it's because, the divine seeks relationship to know and experience itself.
What I wanted to say is this is to not be confused with self-care. where I'm taking this time out because I need to somehow restore myself because I'm feeling, my social battery's feeling drained.
No, it's
not the same thing, right? It really has to do with, as you said it before, and we've said it in other episodes, I need to be able to source myself. And being so external facing at this point in my life, I'm not sure where the sourcing is coming from. So if I can just go back in and have my space, I'm going to be able to center in a way.
That's what it is. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. It is very simple, yeah.
And actually, I remember weirdly being really excited about it. But I remember thinking, oh, actually, this is exactly what I need right now. Just to do things, not even necessarily by myself, but just to have some space.
Yeah. And that space reminds us of our vast power and strength when we are alone. Because sometimes the way in which we are socialized to be around people, we don't always know where we're deriving our power. Is it from the collective? Is it just this energy I'm picking up on when I'm around, my peeps and my tribe? That's also really nice because we get to know ourselves in relationship. That's really important. The divine loves relationship. Don't get me wrong.
Yes,
but
she
does. But the divine also loves its power.
Yes,
more than anything else, and loves to experience its power to the fullest degree at all times. And sometimes when you're around other people, you can't because you got to make room.
Yes.
Just as much as you need people to make room for you and you have to make room for yourself, you got to make room for them. And so sometimes it's just nice to have your own space in which you can really remember who you are.
No, totally. And then actually you can bring that remembrance back into your relationships, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, oh, I remember who I am again. Now we can, we'll reconnect again or whatever. And I can show up again as me.
So like effectively what you're saying is, when we're in happy, so this is where we're going to see bliss and happy diverge. And again, the first 4 episodes of this season are all about conditions that are conducive. So if we need space for bliss, that has to do with the fact that, so when we're happy, we're flowing. It's like, I'm good. I can hang out with this person. This person invited me to this dinner. I'm going to go do this. It's all just kind of like flowy in that respect. And it's a good time. Bliss is saying, I've got this, but I may only have this for about a minute. And then I'm going to tire of this because I want more. And again, it's not a battery thing as much as I need to really experience myself. So then we start to see a shift in relationship dynamics we wouldn't otherwise have if we stayed in happy.
Go on.
And it's not necessarily a negative thing. It's just as much as I need space for myself, I'm going to respect the fact that I don't doubt that you're going to need space as well. And I think you and I did that rather organically.
It's like the joke that, me and my friends have about dating someone who's on an oil rig for 2 weeks out of the month. Fucking perfect. You get to spend 2 weeks with them and then you get to just spend 2 weeks doing what you want to do without them.
Well, it's like my father being in the military and being gone, but sometimes the weeks that they're gone aren't necessarily the weeks you need them gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite work that way. But so this is one of the reasons, okay, looking back to the previous episode, this is one of the reasons in which we kind of have to move beyond love when it comes to bliss. Love is as much for ourselves as it is for others because it's shared. Yeah. Even though it's us shining our light, it is a shared thing.
I've always played this game around, not a game like Wicked Game, but like a dance around how can I be free, but also be in something stable and loving and caring. Mm-hmm. And space is the answer because you show up as yourself, they show up as themselves, which means the interactions are beautiful and full. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you don't lose yourself in those interactions because there's still space for you to be you without them. And it's not like they're gone. They're on the other end of the phone. They're having lunch 3 doors down. It's not like they're not in your lives anymore. It's not that there's an ending, but it's 2 independent people coming together, not 2 codependent people figuring out how their lives look by like mushing them together.
Yes. Yeah. And
that's the difference, right?
Mm-hmm. It's an adjustment. It's an adjustment because our world is really built up around this idea that we're together. The sort of codependent relationship is quite what, separate, it underpins separation because it has to suck our power. So again, we don't quite know what that's going to look like, but we are going to start seeing it more and more. So bliss is not so much about others as much as it is about our fullest divine expression. Mm-hmm. So that's why, love is a part of, but is not all of bliss.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. I'm feeling positive about it.
Okay, I'm very happy because I was
because I can actually.
How many episodes are we going to need?
No, because I understand it, and I actually like I'm doing my best to make this timeless, but I do actually get it because there's something so beautiful about spending a handful of days with someone and then a handful of days without them and then a handful of days with them and then a handful of days without them. But you're always together, like you're always championing each other, you're always in each other's lives, you're always very close by. And I remember when Guidance was talking about intimacy and how texting maybe necessarily wasn't that up until a point, because I asked about you and I, and they were like, well, you spend so much time working together and spending so much time together that actually that's not the case anymore, right? Do you remember we were discussing that? And I just think that, you can always be with someone in your heart and physically as well, but it doesn't have to be all the time. And actually that's a really lovely place to be.
Yeah.
And so for all commitment phobes out there throwing a party, there is a way through.
There is, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's funny because, I think in those lockdown days, just refer to them as that, during that period in which we were all kind of like working from home or stuck at home, for those of us who had to be around our partners 24/7, it got a bit taxing. I mean, I think it definitely made or break certain relationships. I can't say it made mine stronger, but it certainly made our family life a bit better. Now, I'm not saying it was all worth it. Not at all.
I didn't sign up for this. Elizabeth Hayes.
I know.
2020.
Was that in 2020 or 2021?
Maybe one in 2021.
I feel like it was 2021, so it's really not that long ago. It was like 3 years ago. And you had to bear witness to that.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
I think we shared it somewhere in a book or in an episode where I said to my husband, he was freaking out about something. And I was like, I didn't sign up for this.
I've definitely said it. I remember texting you once going, but Liz, I didn't sign up for this.
We all feel that way to some degree, but like, oh my gosh. Anyway, when I find though that when my husband works from home, even now, I need the days where he's not around because I work from home and I need my space. And it's not because I don't love him or I don't care or we don't share a nice life. I need to know my energy. I need to know my power, and I can't when there's someone else occupying my actual space.
All the time. Yeah. I 100% understand it.
Yeah. So that really did curtail us in many ways, that period in which we were kind of stuck together.
Even if it's just like an hour a day where you're just watching TV and chilling, you need it.
You really do.
You need it.
I just have to kind of always come back to that. At some point, where can I come back to myself? And it doesn't have to be that frequent. The amount that is required is dependent on every person. It's individual.
Yeah. For me, I don't need that much space, but I definitely need it.
I mean, for me, I sometimes have to travel to another country.
Yeah. But I do find like the more space we give to be our greater selves, the more we can kind of have like greater amount of energy to like do stuff. Because obviously for me, it's an efficiency thing. If you're going to sit next to me whilst I'm editing a podcast, am I going to get that podcast done in an hour? Probably not. Yeah. But also it's more than that, because when I'm editing a podcast, I'm communing with myself.
Yeah.
I'm communing with the work. I'm centering in my own energy. I'm remembering who I am, and I'm growing, because every time I edit, every time I record, every time I write, every time I do anything that connects either to my purpose or my mission or anything like that, I move forward.
Yes.
I learn something more about myself, or I learn something more about the world. And I need that space to do that so that I bring that back into my relationships. And then otherwise I'm depleted. Right?
Completely. And we really are at the stage. I mean, when we're like in bliss or early stages of bliss, it's not even about our growth anymore. It's about our evolution. And we're ever evolving. And
just to remind everyone, a soul evolutions. And
evolves.
Yeah, thanks. That's the word I'm looking for. A soul evolves, and it's our human lives that grow, right? Is that how it works?
Yes.
That was a distinction?
I mean, yes. So the soul evolves because it has to move forward. It has to divest itself. And the human life will grow in wisdom and apply that wisdom, which allows us to evolve. I think that's the way to look at it. I mean, I feel like that's probably going to evolve. Yeah. Sorry, that was a terrible joke.
It was shocking, but we move on.
Shut up.
But even so, I can see the value in our relationship, Liz. And because that's the thing, because I do think that I'm not, and I can't believe I'm the one saying this, but I don't look in my relationships for someone who's just like, I'm here, you're in a relationship, therefore you're good enough. I don't need a relationship. I want it because I enjoy it. And I can't enjoy it when I've lost touch of who I am. Mm-hmm. And it's not about self-care like, oh, I just really need to like a face mask. I just need a little bit of reconnection so I can bring that connection back to you. And so we can deepen our connection. Mm-hmm. It's really as simple as that.
Yeah. And mutual benefit will definitely be one of the hallmarks of bliss. Because as much as it's the divine wanting to fully experience itself, like in the all, there has to be some mutual benefit, or that sort of also then negates the whole divine really likes relationship.
Which it really likes.
Yes.
This episode is brought to you by Karma Magic Bliss. For more information, resources, and links to our books, check out our website, karmamagicbliss.com, and Karma Magic Bliss across all socials.
And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.